Okay, we're COMP100 and it's week 8, lesson 8, part 1. And today we're going to be talking about assignment number 4, which is going to be an arrays and a loop that we're going to put together. And also we're going to be doing a little bit of, we're going to do the do loop, which we didn't get to last time. And we're also going to do arrays in detail today, right? So if we can handle arrays today, it might last until next week as well. If I have to extend it one more week, I will, because 2 weeks from now is when your array assignment is due. Let's take a look at this assignment 4, which is for arrays. Really, really important piece to this one. Everything else, all more complex structures are built around arrays. This one's worth 10%, not 5. So this is a bigger assignment, right? And there's a couple of reasons. There's 2 parts to it instead of 4. One of them is for 20 marks, right? So 10 marks or whatever around, the first one's only 8 marks actually, and the second one is 12 marks. Let's talk about that. First one, dice rolling app. Write an app to simulate the rolling of 2 dice and display how many times each result was rolled. 8 marks. How we do this? Part A. The app should use an object of class random. Okay, we'll talk about how to do that. Once to roll the first die and again to roll the second die. Okay, how do we do class random? You have to ask, what do I mean by that? What is an object? We're going to talk about that today. The sum of 2 values should then be calculated. So the sum of the 2 values. So die number 1 and die number 2. If we roll 2 dice, who's never rolled dice before? Please tell me all of you have rolled dice, right? If you rolled dice before you play Monopoly, you roll 2 dice, right? And you roll them, and then 2 dice come out, right? Dice number 1, dice number 2. There's going to be faces that say 1 to 6 on these dice, right? So if you look at the chart down here, right? If I roll 1 and 1, I get a 2. If I roll 2 and 2, I get a 4. If I get 2 and 1, I get a 3. So those are the combinations you have. So I'm rolling 2 dice and getting different kinds of sums. The most common one is 7 because there's 7 different kind of cases for 7. I can go a 6 and a 1, that's 7. I can go a 5 and a 2, that's 7. I can go a 4 and a 3, that's 7, and so on. So 7 is the most common number when you roll 2 dice, always, right? So from a probability distribution perspective, it goes 7, and then 6 and 8, and then 4 and 9, 5 and 9, and then, and so on. 4 and 10, 3 and 11, 2 and 12, right? Those are the same probabilities for those numbers. It's like a pyramid. That's what it looks like, right? Where the probability is the highest on the 7 and the lowest at the 12 and 2. I want you to roll the dice 36,000 times, right? And I want you to distribute how many times 1 was hit, how many times 2 was hit, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 12. And I want you to put it out, print it out. 36,000 times. So I don't want you to print it 36,000 times. I want you to do your loop 36,000 times. So you're rolling the 2 dice, adding them together 36,000 times, and tallying them in an array. Okay, you're going to use a one-dimensional array, which we're going to talk about today, how to do that. And you're going to display the results when it says tabular format. It's going to be just in a line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And what's the result for each possibility? So for 2, how many times 2 was rolled? How many times 3 was rolled? How many times 4 was rolled? All the way to 12. Okay, sounds difficult, but quite easy actually. All you're doing is rolling 2 dice 36,000 times, and then you're calculating, you're tallying up every time a result has come up. You're tallying it up and you're adding it into the array. We'll talk about what arrays are today. Okay, so that's number 1. That's worth 8 marks. That's why you have 2 weeks to do this, right? Because there's some complexity around this, more than before, right? And remember, I'm going to give you more and more complex assignments as we go, right? Because I want to prep you for when we go into programming 2. So you've done complex assignments. Because otherwise, so far it's been easy, easy, easy. Oh, it's getting a little bit more difficult, and then by the time we're done, you'll have had some more difficult assignments. You need to do that because if you can't handle more challenging assignments, then when we get to programming 2, you're going to be in trouble. Here's part 2, all right? Airline reservation system, okay? Very simple one. A small airline has just purchased a computer for its new automated reservation system. You have been asked to develop the new system. You're to write an app to assign seats on each flight of the airline's only plane with 10 seats capacity. A very small plane. It could be a shuttlecraft that goes to the moon, how small this thing is, right? Display the following alternatives in a menu. 1, so we got a menu, right? 1 for first class, 2 for economy, 3 to exit, okay? You must use a switch statement and a while loop. So you're making a menu. We did that in assignment number 3. This time you're doing it on your own. If the user types 1, your app should assign a seat in the first class section, seats 1 to 5, right? If the user types 2, your app should assign a seat in the economy section, seats 6 to 10. Use a one-dimensional array of type bool to represent the seating chart of the plane. 2 marks functionality. So the seating chart, when I say bool, that means it can be either true or false. Is the seat taken or not taken? True, it's taken. False, it's not. Okay, pretty simple. C, initialize all the elements of the array to false to indicate that all seats are empty. 2 marks. Okay? And D, as each seat is assigned, set the corresponding element of the array to true to indicate that the seat is no longer available. Right? So if you assign seat number 4, then the 4th element of the array, which we're going to talk about what arrays are, is going to be no longer available. E, your app should never assign a seat that has already been assigned. When the economy section is full, your app should ask the person if it's acceptable to be placed in the first class section, and vice versa. Right? If yes, make the appropriate seat assignment. If no, display the message next flight leaves in 3 hours. Okay? Very, very simple and straightforward. Both are going to take a little bit more thinking. Okay? Be very cognizant of what I'm asking here and ask me for details. If you don't understand a piece part to it, you have a couple of weeks to put things together, right? So this week and next week, when we meet next week, right? You have a week after that to talk about it too, because it's not due now, it's due March 20th, right? So we got like 16 days to get these 2 done, right? I don't think it should be an issue. I know you're worried. I see the worry on your face.
No, I'm not worried.
More complex.
Cool.
It's more complex, more complex. I'm giving you more and more complex stuff to deal with. By the way, this same assignment I gave to COMP100 today because a lot of them don't know how to do arrays because they don't know, they haven't had enough practice. We're going to do this. This should give you some of the stuff that you need to do arrays. We're going to talk about arrays in detail. I may give you yet another assignment around arrays next week as well.
Right. 1, 2, 3 is program 2?
Correct. Okay, so again, so we're 10% of your final mark, right? Which means double what the other 2 have been done. So this is worth like 2. This is like 2 assignments in 1, because you get while loops, you got arrays, you've got all kinds of other conditional statements. Everything that we've done so far, different kinds of data structures, all that kind of stuff right here. So there's more. This is a more challenging assignment or assignments. Any questions around this so far? By the way, you can still ask me questions afterwards. It's not the only time you can ask me questions. Right? So if you have any questions, we can talk to it now, or we can leave it and talk again about it later. So read it, absorb it a little bit, and we'll talk about it.